I want to start with what's happening just of the moment, and then let's get back to Ukraine and Russia. And I want to play you a little Fox News channel. I only have you for a very short time. Tulsi Gabbard has, at the express desire of the president, gotten rid of the security clearances of 37 different U.S. officials. And there were attempts made to try to protect certain high-ranking scientists who are critical to the nation in any number of ways we can get into, but those attempts were kneecapped, and Tulsi Gabbard again strips that security clearance from dozens of these intelligence officials. Now, the idea was that these are people who are, she says, have engaged or are engaged in politicizing and manipulating intelligence and leaking classified intelligence without authorization, and or committing intentional egregious violations of tradecraft standards. There is no proof offered for this. It feels like a political hit job. And even the language, while I'd suggest it's cloaked in that kind of DNI language, it feels Trumpian. And it's really, to me, the takeover of yet another agency by the Trump attitude and strategy toward political vengeance.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, we need to stop reporting on the stuff that they want us to say, because, Trump is a criminal, and the people that he surrounds himself with are criminals, and they've been given the keys to the federal government and to the judiciary and even to the Supreme Court. And so, we must not be surprised at any of this. This is just part of the deconstruction of the administrative state. That's all it is. We knew about it. We read about it in Project 2025. Obviously, they can't do everything on day one, so they are working their way through it. And Trump, as you know, the fact that he kind of keeps repeating Russia, 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 in front of Putin, it's so embarrassing, But this is what they're trying to do. They are very much of the opinion that everyone is against them. And I sit there watching them when they say, "Everyone, why are people against us?" And it's like, because you're criminals. Literally everything you're doing is criminal. So, of course, this is a desire, as they often have, to, get rid of anybody who is disloyal. And unless you believe that Trump should have won the 2020 election, unless that is your opinion, and you believe that the Democrats and goodness knows who, George Soros or somebody, rigged the election against Trump, then you can't be in the administration.
So the other thing that we learn in the news drop overnight is that Jeanine Pirro, who was then a weekend host of Fox News, was apparently telling the Republican National Committee chair, this is in a text message, and a lot of this is revealed in the Smartmatic cases that are brought against Fox News Channel, and the voting machine cases. And they've already won a bunch of these cases already, but this is information that's coming out in relation to those. Mm-hmm. So despite the network prohibiting on-air personalities from political involvement, she wrote, quote, "I work so hard for the party across the country." She was writing to Ronna McDaniel in the message. And she then went on to say, "I'm the #1 watch show on all news and cable all weekend, and I work so hard for the president and the party." You realize that, the propaganda machine of Fox News Channel is real. They perpetuated the lie of a stolen election. And then in all of these different text messages, you see revealed the scheme to, despite even memoranda saying don't do this, to do it anyway.
And that's why they settle. Remember the Fox News payment was $787.5 billion, right? Million dollars, which is almost $1 billion, which is unprecedented. And the fact that they didn't dispute it, they disputed it. They obviously, Dominion wanted a whole lot more, as is the case with Newsmax. But the fact that they paid is an admission of guilt, as I see it. They would probably argue otherwise, but it's pretty much the case. Because they don't have a case. This is the thing about, modern communication, is that everything is recorded, whether it be on a text message or whether it be on a voicemail or whether it be on an email. It's all recorded. This is why Trump likes the phone, because he kind of likes to operate in the shadows and why he kind of flushes paperwork down the toilet or eats it, But these people are banged to rights, effectively. They know that this is all part of the performative nature of Fox, performative nature of Newsmax. I mean, we on the Midas Touch Network refer to Fox as the state regime media. That's what it is. It's just state regime media. And something has to change. We can't just keep reporting these stories like they're a surprise or that they're a shock or they're, because this is corruption and criminality happening in plain sight. And, initially, a bit like January 6th and the setup to it, it was like a new thing. Nobody had really done anything quite as organized as that before. But when you pull out the frame and you kind of get a sense of the bigger picture, these people are either evil, criminal, or both. And Jeanine Pirro she's just Donald Trump in kind of miniature in Italian suits. She is as terrible as he is. She is also she's hardly smarter than he is either. And I really worry that by putting people with no expertise in senior positions throughout the government, that is what is ultimately going to bring this government down. Because, dictatorships fall. They all fall. And this one will collapse. And as the economy starts to collapse, they will lose any kind of authority that they currently have, because everything is fake. I mean, Caroline Levitt got up in the press room and tried to tell us what we didn't see around the negotiating table with the EU leaders. She literally was telling us stuff that wasn't actually happening. This desire to rewrite the narrative and claim that something is black when it's white. And I'm just done with all that. People are smarter than they are.
He's ridden to power on that playbook, of course.
Sure.
By saying, black
but we
is
have to
white,
cut it
etc.
off. We have to cut it off. I mean, Gavin Newsom's trying to do that, right? By playing around with him with this social media stuff and posting AI images of basically Newsom being Trump, playing him at his own game. And, some Democrats don't get it and they don't like it and they don't understand it. Morning Joe, I mean, he can't get his head around it at all, but there needs to be more of this kind of stuff because these people are clowns. They're not skilled. They don't have the smarts. So expose them as clowns. Send them up. Laugh them off the stage. Instead of reporting what is happening and giving it credence. Because Trump did not have a proper meeting with Putin. He didn't have one of those. Nothing was really discussed. Nothing came of it. And yet it was reported like this was a massive event. And it literally was just a photo opportunity. Then he invites the enemy into his car.
Thank you. It was nothing more than a photo op.
Right.
And the intransigence of Vladimir Putin is on full display.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up to this thing. He says exactly what he was saying at the beginning of this war.
Hasn't changed his story at all.
And I don't know. I think all the rest of this stuff is sort of performative on some level. I've only got you for 3 more minutes. I want to quickly run, because he mentioned the telephone. Trump calls into Fox News Channel. He's asked, how did the European leaders react when you called Vladimir Putin in the middle of the meeting? You have that, Albert? We run a little bit of that.
Vladimir Putin. What was the reaction among the other people in the room, and what was President Putin's reaction to being brought into a phone call in the middle of your meeting?
Well, I think they expected it. I didn't do it in front of them. I thought that would be disrespectful to President Putin. I wouldn't do that.
To Putin.
Had the warm relations, and actually, President Putin wouldn't talk to people from Europe. I mean, that was part of the problem. They had no communication. They had no communication with the White House for years, as people died. Years with Biden and his people. No communication. Putin told me years. It was years that he didn't speak to anybody from the White House. And it was a long time that he didn't speak to anybody from Europe. No, it's a fractured relationship. And when I came in, I always had, despite the Russia hoax, which truly was a very dangerous thing for our country, but despite that, I maintained a very good relationship. I mean, you saw that when he got off his plane, I got off my plane. There's a warmth there that you can't, there's a decent feeling. And it's a good thing, not a bad thing. People would say, oh, that's such a terrible thing. It's not a terrible thing. You know what? We've got the most nuclear weapons in the world and the most powerful.
Okay,
Yeah.
you get it. It's the thing is, Anthony Davis, he gets played like a fiddle by people like Putin.
No mention of the fact that Putin is an indicted and wanted war criminal. No, he even mentioned the other day, oh well, if Putin saw that, he'd probably like do off with them, like referring to the fact that Putin kills people. So he knows that Putin kills people. Not just, the tens of thousands of people that he kills in wartime, but also in peacetime. He kills his own generals. He kills his opposition leaders. He is a wanted killer and criminal. And Trump, the reason that Trump thinks that he's doing a good thing by bringing relations together and he can't understand why previous presidents isolated Russia is because he's also a criminal. And the criminals stick together. I don't know if you know criminals. Like in London, I had a few friends who had served time and they were worked in the criminal community, and all their friends are criminals, and everything they know is a criminal thing, and they just can't help it. I mean, it's like that's where the phrase career criminal comes from. And they've gone straight since I knew them, so just point that out. But what people need to remember is that Donald Trump is not a proper president. He does not represent the United States. He is in it for himself, trying to protect himself from his own criminality and prosecutions. And this is only going to get worse. There will be no deal with Ukraine. Anybody who thinks there's going to be a deal is living in cloud cuckoo land. He is just playing for time so that Putin can continue to bomb the hell out of Ukraine. And anybody who thinks that that's going to change is missing the point. America is on the side of Russia. The European leaders, they rushed there. They weren't invited to the White House. They came there to save Ukraine from, losing its sovereignty completely to Russia and America combined. This is going to get very, very messy indeed, and we're only just seeing the start of it.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks for being here. I'll let you go. Go find him. Midas Touch Network, the great Anthony Davis. See you, my friend. Love seeing you always.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.